Oh God, we're live. Hello. How are all you excellent harpists? How are things out yonder? It is, we got some snow and a mess of cold out here in Kansas. Let's get to the harp and the harp I made, one of the harps I made this weekend is experimental, a big harp. This is probably the biggest harp I've ever made. And it was to good results. G1 sharp. I plan on doing a whole bunch more of these. This is in a fierce trigger, in a fierce reed style. It's a lot stiffer. I was just doing a lot of reeds in butter, really flexible reeds. This is stiffer. I really like the bell ring, the melodic content of it. I'm starting to really figure out the things that make a harp melodic, and I think they're true across the board, regardless of length, regardless of construction, and it's really, it's not obvious at first. But I'm making harps, and I'm starting to struggle less. I used to always struggle adjusting harps. Now harps are, you can read a harp a lot better when it's coming together, figuring out what the harp wants, where things want to go. It's just really, really exciting. I really, really enjoy doing harps. Hey, Aunt Joanne, how you doing? I'm playing the new harp I made, the big one. This one's not for sale. I'm keeping it. It's a testing prototype. I need to test it, and then if everything checks out and I get a good 4 or 5 hours of play on it and like it, which I am really liking it so far, I'm gonna make some more of them. And I'm finding that in tempering harps, this color really, really makes a reed work well. The color isn't so much for decoration, it's the amount of heat that I give it. It changes the properties of a reed a little bit, softens it, and this is, I really like taking them to this level. It turns them almost, it looks black on the camera, but it's actually kind of a bluish gray, almost a coal. And I like it, and oh, here, I'll show you this device I worked on. This is one of the necklace cases I'm going to be making in the future. It's in locally sourced black walnut. And actually, it's a paracord necklace. So the harp's carried upward because I know the Yakuts believe that the energy from a harp radiates out of the tip into the sky. They never like seeing harps turned downward. Like I've got a lot of these. They want them carried upward. So I'm like, when I make cases in the future, they're no longer going to point downward. They're going to point upward. But anyways, a cool story about the paracord. I put 40 knots in it. I think that everything in a harp should mean something. I put 40 braids in this, basically 40 sailor's knots, 20 going this way, 20 going this way, because that's the amount of years my dad was on this earth and he was alive. And I think that his DNA is woven into mine, kind of like his father before him, so a bit of him's woven into the necklace. Anyways, that's just the necklace I made. I'm going to be doing more of that. Oh, yeah, you said the Niega case? You're talking about for the eye. Niega, this is his eye case. Totally killer harp. We'll have some tea and we'll get back to the plan. But yeah, the harp building's coming way more effortlessly now. I just used to struggle and get frustrated. Yeah, I highly recommend, I don't know if you've seen the top down view, the Eye by Niega is awesome. G1 sharp, it plays pretty stable though. Oh, this one? Yeah, this is a custom build by me. This is my new large bass in Fierce prototype that I made this weekend. I'm going to be testing it, and if everything checks out on it, I'm going to be making more, but I really, really like the content of this. It's a stiffer, longer reed, and it kind of feels like playing a Yakut harp, but not quite as loud. The bell ring's really, really nice on it. And I made it so that the gaps are really, really consistent. Let's see if we can get them picked up consistent all the way down it. But they also compress consistently. So you can actually bite this harp harder and make it louder, and it compresses evenly. I've noticed a lot of harps, they'll have even gaps along, let's see if this is one side of the reed in the deck, they'll have even gaps before they undergo compression. And as soon as you apply a little bit of compression to them, they compress unevenly. So I made the harp so that the gaps compress down absolutely straight, because so many harps, you start playing them fast and you need to start holding them harder up against your teeth. Well, you're going to compress it a little bit more. They'll compress oftentimes at the tips a little bit more. So when I make a harp, I always want it to compress evenly. And that makes for a harp that plays more stable, because if it compresses unevenly at the tips especially, that's where you get the most side deflection in a reed. So a lot of times I'll flare the tips out just a bit and then give it a relief cut too, so you have a little bit of forgiveness when you're playing a harp fast. That's inward and outward, pretty fast for a bassist look. There's been a lot of things I've been picking up in harps. Because not only do I want it to sound good, I want it to play good. Sometimes you'll get a good sounding harp that just doesn't play well under duress. And some harps, especially super, super low ones, you just can't pluck them fast. But it's about as low as I've ever went. G1 sharp. I have a G1, but it plays unstable. It's from over a year. It's from a year and a half ago, so it plays super unstable. And all my new harps, I'm going melodic with them. I'm getting better with melodics. There's a G1 sharp here. I think I have an A1 sharp in butter. The butter ones feel quite a bit different. And I'm going to start playing some other people's harps as well here in a minute. This isn't a commercial to sell harps. I've already got plenty of people who want to buy harps. I just need to find all the time to make all of them. Hopefully, in the future, I'll be able to retire from my job to make harps full time. Which one are you? Here's an A1 sharp in butter, which in a buttery reed, a thinner reed, you can make a bass a lot shorter because it's a lot more flexible. Here's that A1 sharp in butter. And it plays stable too. When I make them in butter, when you make a harp with a more flexible reed, if it's stabilized properly, you can really, really pulsate breath on it. Yeah, Oh snap! That is a bummer, guys. I'm sorry, your money's going to support the lawyers. I won't play this harp anymore. This has already got a home. I just need to make a necklace piece for it tomorrow. And let's see here. What else do we want here? Those are all sold. I want to play. Oh, I was playing this harp not last night, but the night before on Thursday. And oh yeah, that's a bummer. Sometimes you get those unique experiences playing a harp. I was playing this Gorka tailless, and it felt like it just felt orange. Sometimes you get that sensory crossover when you're playing, and I really like that. I think it's called synesthesia. But it doesn't happen all the time. It just happens at random times. I'll be playing, and then all of a sudden something will happen. I'll be like, ooh, this is gnarly. But if you think about what's happening to you while you're playing the harp, a lot of times it pulls you out of it. So if you start seeing things or start feeling really good playing the harp, or really get into a rhythm, or have sensory crossovers or whatever, as musicians often do, sometimes you can see that one of those really, really good guitarists, their face is just going crazy as they're playing because they're just really feeling the music. If you think about what's happening when you're feeling the music, sometimes it takes you out of it. So I try to just ignore it and just let it transpire. I'm hammering my glottis shut. Walk, walk, walk. And I'm acting like I'm whistling up here, holding my mouth like. But I'm also doing that glottis close because we have a huge advantage with a harp in that we can play it with our glottis shut. You don't have to be breathing. The harp's making noise for you, and you can make noises with your glottis from opening and closing it shut. There's breathing out, closed in, out, closed in, closed in. And oh, the glottis is just a heck of a tool when it comes to playing the harp. And that's the missing piece, because I always would see really good Morchang players from India, from Rajasthan, playing the harp on YouTube. And I would see Munat players playing the harp, and I'm like, what are they doing? You think that it's some type of breathing or some way that they're plucking it. It's actually glottis, open, close, open, close. That's where the term open, close melodics comes from, that scale of equal intonation. And in a scale of equal intonation, every other one will be closed. You'll have open note, close note, open note, close note, open note, close note, up and down. And you can get notes above, an equal intonation above those eight for a few if you've got the control, the glottis control, and also below that a few. If you look up Accenti Beskrovny, he's really, really good at glottis play. So is Vladimir Markov, especially on the higher harps. I think Vlad Markov's YouTube channel is actually Jews Harper. And I never used to like higher tuned harps like a Morchang. It's because every harp I would pick up, I would play it like it's a Zalogy Chancellor or a Blackfire in the mid range. If you're playing an instrument in the higher register and you're trying to play it like a mid range instrument, you're not going to like the results, because you're trying to amplify tones where they're not as strong. Those tones for them higher up harps are up here, they're not down here. Just like on a bass instrument, if you start trying to play it like a mid range instrument, the tones aren't here so much, they're down. And I think a good part of playing the harp is finding the tones and accurately amplifying them, because you'll find in every harp you play, you'll find the places where the tones are amplified the best, and you'll kind of build that muscle memory. And switching from one harp to another, that's why a lot of time I go up and come down, because I'm reading the harp, feeling it out. I'm not conscientiously thinking like, will this shape make the tone strongest here? It's just a feeling as you go up and come down. And many people are going to pick up a Morchang. We'll probably go out and buy this one and be like, I don't like it, because you just like a Morchang especially is a different style. It's a different style of instrument to play. It's still a jaw harp, but if you're used to playing mid-range Vargan and Jerome and stuff like that, you're probably not going to like a Morchang at first, just because it feels foreign to be using that glottis control and controlling it in the upper registers. There's no saturation to hide behind either. But the Morchang, I would highly suggest taking it up and giving it a try, because it takes a little bit of discipline to get used to the Morchang, but once you get the feel for a Morchang, they are very rewarding to play. Yeah, that Gorka just gets me. And not all Morchang play that melodic. This is a particular melodic one. Probably about one out of every 4 or 5, maybe even as many as 10 play as melodically as that. Some of them, here's like the same model. I try to play each harp and find where its personality lays. Some of them, even amongst the same model. I like that the Morchang makers leave the harp as its individual thing and don't try to homogenize or make them all exactly the same. That's what I've been doing in my harp building as well. Not making, trying to make the exact same harp. Every harp, as it comes together, you kind of feel out, well, what kind of reed, what taper, what width, what style do I want to do the trigger? Because every harp has its own personality, and I like it when makers leave the personality in the harp. That's why I've been liking untuned instruments so much, because when we tune an instrument, most of the time, we're homogenizing it. We're making it the same. We're like, okay, this harp wants to play here, but we're going to make it fit into this box. That's why when I tune a harp, I try just to go to the same note and just to raise it just a tiny amount. If it's very far off or it has certain qualities that I think will be lost by tuning it, I'll just leave it where it sits, because I just like keeping the instrument individual. This one, it's the same exact instrument, but it's lower, it's more drony. I spent a ton of time beatboxing, and it's actually a little bit smaller too. It's actually one that got me started. I've been beatboxing a lot around my son. Whenever I'm driving, I'm always just coming up with rhythms, and it's really rounding out, softening, and growing my ability to do percussives, because they're not forced. They're part of, hey Bailey Little, how you doing? And they feel like they're part of a drum beat. So my percussives, if I have a drum beat in my head that I'm feeling, my percussives will come out, they'll come back in, they'll fade in and out of the song, so they're keeping with the time. And they were essentially, I was just playing almost the same thing that I was playing on this other one, but I was playing a little bit more low. I was playing it and just dragging the beat out and doing the melodics differently and throwing percussives in there. But it was essentially the same type of feeling of a song. So I've been doing that as of a lot lately. I haven't been playing a ton of different types of music. I've been playing one song or one variation, one rhythm, I like to call them predatory rhythms or a central rhythm, because you build the rhythm and you get it going, and then it just picks up whatever. And each harp I play it on, like when I sit here, I'll play 8 or 10 harps over the course of an hour or two, just going from one harp to another, having a sip of tea, going back, keeping the caffeine going, keeping the harps going. And it just, the song, when you do a central rhythm like that on a ton of different instruments, and you allow it to change, because it picks up everything it touches, it changes the song each time you play it, so the song kind of evolves. The harps influence the song influences the harps and the way they play. It's cold down here a little bit, so the coconut oil doesn't want to go on the harps. It's more like trying to apply wax. Okay, what should we play now? Yeah, I just blew my nose in the live upload. My nose does not work properly. It's been broken way too many times. I feel like I play a lot of the same instruments every time. And for good reason. I like all the instruments. This is one you can really let drag out the foam and cove. It just goes forever. He just finished up 3 instruments, and he's going to be mailing them out, so they're going to be getting in the U.S. probably 2 to 4 weeks. In another 6 months, I'll be able to get another 3 from him. Yeah, foam and cove is... I would love to travel over there and spend some time with these makers. That is just a ridiculous craftsmanship. And I hear titanium, just as it is a pain to forge. I might be branching off into forging sometime in the future. I had one experience, customer, every now and again, you'll have a harp that a reed will come loose on. Not this, but it was a Warchang. Customer sent it back, so I went ahead and I fixed it, and then I sent a Dan Moy for free just for the trouble. But whenever I recrimped the harp reed, because there was just a tiny amount of space next to the reed, and after a couple of weeks, a couple of months of play, it worked loose. It didn't actually even move the reed. You couldn't see it, but you could hear it in your ear when you play it. Is normally where I hear a reed that's just starting to work loose just a little bit. It would have never come completely loose, but it's irritating to play. Went ahead and recrimped it. So the reed, when you crimp a reed and you have extra space next to it, like whenever I cut my reeds in, I make them like a puzzle piece. There is. We're just going to go get into some harp theory. Cross section of the reed. Now it looks like that. It's flat on the back. There are 2 angles. I find it easier to keep third plane alignment, which is the most important thing in making a good sounding harp. And then if we look at a cross section of the harp frame, yeah, she tuned in just to see a guy draw. It looks just like that. So this undercut matches the edge of that. So when you crimp it, it doesn't deform the reed way off to the side, because any extra room you have, that reed wants to swing in the frames and offsets it. Well, that's what happened when I went ahead and recrimped that. And it was a Warchang, so I had a really thick bass. I couldn't even hardly work into my vise. Like, oh, what do I do? So I put the big MAC gas torch, and I went ahead and I held it with my part making pliers, and I held it in front of my MAP gas torch, heated it up until she was starting to get hot, just like a forger, like a blacksmith would use it. Then I actually worked it back into shape on my, readjusted the whole frame on my anvil. It worked really well, and I was able to keep the reed from getting overheated, because there with the MAP gas torch, I was able to concentrate it just in one area. And I really had a lot of fun, which I don't have the skill yet to forge, but it was nice doing kind of an idiot's forge and reforming a harp on the anvil. It really worked out well. So in the future, I'm going to be branching out, learning how to forge instruments, because all my harps are bent frame. I use heat in the treatment of the whole entire frame and the reed, but also in forming of the reed. I've been sketching some very strange imaginary. Oh, dude, that is awesome. You should post that. You should talk about them, and see if somebody would make one, or just shoot me a message. That'd be cool to see experimental reed frame harps. One experimental reed that'll probably blow your mind if you look it up. It's called Leo's Sledge. Leosledge. It's made by Leo, I don't know his name, the Japanese maker, and it is a crazy looking. The frame comes like this, and then it comes and it curves back around, so you're not even holding the. It's actually, I can't explain it. You'll have to just look up Leo's Sledge. I need to get in touch with him and see if he'll build me one. Because I would like to have a harp like that. I wonder how it plays. I bet it plays pretty well, though. Japanese maker is pretty good, I hear. It has such a great bell ring, but also it will squeal too. Harp just goes forever. Let's see, what time is it? We're at 24 minutes. Oh, cool. Might be able to provide you with some insight on how to bend a frame like that, because I think his is a square frame as well that's bent. I'm getting pretty good at bending square stock. I actually make tools now to help people build. So if you're ever eating Harp making tools, anvils made out of railroad ties, I have a guy who can do that. Or like specialized pliers made for gripping frame stock, for bending it, specialized vice jaws. I can make that for you. I can also make frames and cut reeds that will exactly fit them and send them out as kits if you ever don't have the. Hey, wow, Bill, how you doing? I bet the weather's getting cold up there. Yeah, if anybody's ever interested, get a hold of me on bebcorp1@gmail.com or shoot a message for the Harpery on Facebook. Found a vintage harp. Oh, somebody's doing a harp restoration. That is awesome. You should definitely make a video about it and leave it in the comments below so I can go check it out. But if anybody's ever interested in making a harp but doesn't have the ability to bend metals and shear steels and stuff like that, I can make frames for people and make a reed for you and send it out for you if you ever want to give a harp making a try but don't have, a big metalworking shop. And there's the furnace again. Furnace is running a lot because it was in the teens last night. Fahrenheit scale, probably be in the teens again tonight. I like the way it, even though it's a long stiff reed, it still, my gaps are consistent enough. It still responds to the breath. But it's stiff enough. It still pierces through the breath. Right now, I'm seeing how low I can get with the harps, and in the future, I'm going to be seeing, okay, how can I start making good instruments? I've made one good instrument in G2. It went to my melodics teacher, but I haven't replicated it for a while. So which do you prefer, low, medium, or high tone jars? That is an excellent question. That is like, what do I like to eat? I don't like to eat the same things all the time. As of recently here, I've been building lots of lower instruments, lots of mid-range instruments, but I'm going to resume building higher instruments, but high instruments aren't my forte for making, but I do love playing high instruments, especially Vargan, Munop, and Morchang. Because there's a certain, with the lower instruments, there's a certain drony, like deep, cradling, melodic nature if you get melodic. If I play a bass instrument, I definitely want it to be as melodic as possible because there's a certain quality there. If you play higher up melodic instruments, somebody says, oh, Sky Rain Cole says like to see the way the eyes vibrate. Yeah, if you look at like a clock with a digital readout on it, like your microwave or oven or something like that, you can actually, if the letters are red, a lot of times you can see them move. Because most of the time when you're playing, if your brain doesn't have or your eyes don't have a place to rest on, your brain actually edits out the vibration because your brain is editing things out of your consciousness all the time that it doesn't need because your eyes are taking in way more data than you need. And your brain just going to self-correct. Like the difference in between seeing the outside of a cube and the inside corner of a wall, it's actually the same image, but your brain uses your perception. It takes a reading of, oh, what's all around it? Oh, that's an inside corner or that's an outside corner because they actually look the same. Oh, yes, so you're talking about playing higher up instruments. The Monop or higher up. This is mid-range. This is more mid-range, but it's the beginning of mid-range. Let's see. I know what I'll play. It's a Babaev's A2. I really haven't had a liking for instruments above about B2. But in the future, a lot of really good Morchang players will play, C3, E3, and above. I'm going to be branching off in that. At least playing them in the future. See if I can get this Babaev going. The Babaev has such tight gaps. The coconut oil congeals on there, and it's kind of difficult to get it broke loose at first. Because I've never seen harps gapped as tight as Babaev does, other than Mohan does. Mohan, ridiculously tight. Oh, yeah, you did. You got that G0 Parm. That's a deep Parm. That's the deepest I've ever played. Oh, definitely, yeah. The Parm, they go way down deep. And the deeper the Parm go, the more buttery the triggers get because he grinds off the face of it. What's the highest tone draw harp you played? Morsing A3. An A3 is very high. I used to mistakenly call A2 A3. I didn't understand the way the letters on the notes go. The letters on notes actually run. It would be C to C. So like if you have C1, C2, C1, can't even B C D, C1, D1, and you would go until you hit the next C, and then that's where it changes because it's not the A where things change. So like a B1 harp and a C2 harp are actually just basically two steps apart because they're one step apart because B1, C2, and then it would begin again, and then when you get to B2 again, coming back around, then you'd be C3. So I used to think it started at A. I don't know why it starts in the middle. Somebody with advanced musical training would probably be able to explain it way better than me. I'm a little country in my ways. Anyway, this A2. I used to call them A3. Now this is actually an A2 because there'd be a B2 above it, then your C3, so on and so forth. Yeah, the Babayev Monarch A2 Sparkles. Babayev is just such a wonderful maker. For my private collection, I have him making one of his Morchang. He does make, I don't know if he makes a ton of the Morchang, but I'm like, I want like the best Russian maker, well, one of the best Russian makers I know of to make his take on a Morchang. Another moon harp. I have a variety of different types of moon harp. I'll be getting an Iverson in the future as well. I wanted a folk Neslin, but didn't get the opportunity to buy one. I don't believe Neslin makes moon harp anymore. Because all my moon harp, I don't have any moon harp that are made. Oh, somebody says, "Boss, hi guys, ordered." No, do not launch a dispute with Babe. Somebody says, see, I place orders with makers all the time, so I'm used to things being way, 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 way behind. Somebody says that Babayev didn't get back to him. Just shoot him a message again, because I know right now Babayev is moving into a new shop. He's having to undo things. He's having to restore the shop basically to resume work again. I would not launch a dispute with Babayev because you have an opportunity to get one of his harps. I would stick with that and not anger him because he is a maker that is extremely sought after, and all makers, especially the ones that are hard to get and extremely sought after, are going to be running way behind, especially when they're upgrading and moving into new shops, locating new tools, especially experimenting with different forms sets you back every time as a maker. I have a list that goes way back. But do not start a dispute with Babayev. Just message him, hey, I'm just wondering. And with the sought after makers, they're always going to be way behind. Someone bought the store out of Porky Miller, what's up, dude? How you doing? Oh yeah, just be patient with him because he is just one dude who is making harps from scratch on an anvil. And I know I talked to Daria Chernov, the person who does a lot of communicating for Babayev. Because when you're a maker, you want to spend as much time building harps as possible. They sent me a picture of the shop they just moved into. I'm like, oh wow, that needs a lot of work. So yeah, be patient with the makers and just give it time. I've been waiting for almost a year for the Babayev, and I shoot them a message every once in a while, and I know that they have the harp frames done, but I look forward to getting that and a Morchin. But yeah, be patient waiting for the Babayev. They're awesome. He's gonna cook you up something that blow your mind as far as Moon harp, or I haven't had his Morchang yet or his melodic harps, but yeah, it's gonna be. I'm excited for you. You're gonna enjoy your Babayev. It's another maker, highly sought after, long wait list. This is Dernovoy out of Ukraine. I actually bought this from my melodics teacher. Dernovoy made him a whole full set, and I played it, and I'm like, because he was selling some of his harps, I'm like, is this harp for sale? And he said, no, it's part of a tune set, but I see you really like it. I want you to have it. I'm like, no, no, I don't sell me a harp from a tune set and make it incomplete. He's like, no, no, no. I insist. I want you to have it. So I go, okay, I'll buy it from you. Dernovoy or woody and oaky. I don't know if you can use the term oaky or woody to describe a harp, but that's how I would describe a Dernovoy. Not as shiny, not as sparkly as a Babayev. More, I don't know. And the reed on it, I don't know if this may be a forged reed. It has little, you can look at it, it has little indentions on it running down it, but they're not randomly patterned like it's been beat onto the hammer. They look almost like an equal reduction, like this one is proportionally smaller than this one is proportionally smaller than this one. Would I consider making tune sets? I actually, in my build list, I have somebody wanted me to make a tune set. As of right now, my making list is long, so I'm just building individual harps, and each harp is individual in its feel and its play. Maybe way down the line, if I ever get freed up enough and able to retire from my job to build harps and run the harpery, I may build tune sets. But right now, I'm just building individual harps. I absolutely love that instrument. We're running 36 minutes right now. Me and my wife, we is gonna watch a movie tonight, so I'm gonna be wrapping this up. I'm gonna play. I made a harp today. It doesn't have a home yet. I'm waiting for somebody on Instagram, which I'm on Instagram too. You can find me on as Bebcorp, BEBBCORP. Waiting for them to reply back, and if they don't want it or don't reply back by tomorrow, I'm going to just hit up the next person on my list. See back. So I won't play it too much. Oh, Mom's putting the kid down. It's time to wrap this up. This was a C2 sharp. Let's just see how it plays. I really liked how it played earlier. I tempered it to the same temperature as the other one, so it came out that weird steelish blackish blue. A sip of tea. Anyways, I'm gonna play this harp on the way out. Just give it a little test before it goes out on Monday to whoever ends up with it. I love y'all. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more harpery. Harp out. Love y'all. Adios.